One thing I tend to look for more at night than any other time is abstraction, is using light sources, reflections, removing reference points to just make a graphical composition. Times Square is quite a good place for it with all the advertising. We've done a little bit of that already. Learning to see the reflection before what's through glass is a key element in that. So if you focused on the guy in the doorway right now, it's not going to be a very interesting shot. But if you see the reflection first in that big patch of red, it gives you a color to work from. That's much more interesting than him. You could compose a scene based on that and then just wait for the right person to be coming through that door, and then that's your frame. You could even work with a longer lens and focus entirely on the reflection. It could just be someone's hand on the inside of the glass as they push the door open, and that's your human element, and the rest of the frame is completely composed around the color. A good test for anyone who's watched this all the way through, go out and actually train your eye to see reflections before you see what's through glass. It's something that once you get used to doing, you can't stop doing it. Every reflection you ever see, every bit of glass, every reflective surface, you will notice the reflection before you see what's actually on the other side of the glass. It's a much better way to compose an image. It's useful, but it will get interesting after time, that you find yourself sort of staring at a light source and a reflection, and then realise that there's actually someone sat right behind that glass looking straight at you, but you don't notice them at first. It can be quite weird. So let's head back through Times Square, through 6th and 5th Avenue, and we'll see what abstract frames we can create. And one obvious element to help create abstraction is a nice fast lens. If you've got something that can shoot 1.8, it's going to help you at night, focusing on something in the foreground and letting everything just drop away out of focus is an easy first step into abstraction. When you're just walking around and you see a nice big element like this, I was just wondering what I could do with it, the reflection of the lamppost just disappearing into that, and then there's a point a little bit further over where you line up the edge of the building, losing that reference point. When things are flipped, you just stop understanding the scale of things. You can't tell sort of where this element sits from that element because you've got nothing in the foreground to reference from. So it just flattens the entire scene down, becomes a lot more confusing. I mean, there's not enough of a light source here on the street to do it, but just taking a second to look up, you've got an abstract element there. You've got human shapes, but nothing defined enough to be able to say that is a particular person. You can't see faces well enough. All you can see is shapes and colour. It really can be a waiting game. So the advert that I'm waiting for has a giant hand on it, and the signs in front of us as well every now and then switch to red, and the advert that I saw is blue, so the colour contrast would be really nice, but whether or not the timing of these adverts changing is in sync or not, I don't know. You could be waiting for these adverts to change, and it just never happens. They never match up. Let's just keep walking and see what we see. Just love the way the ceiling here is reflecting off the open pianos. That's the kind of shot you really just make an excuse to go inside and actually shoot that from in there. And this is a good example of choosing what you don't want in the shot as much as what you do want in the shot. It's a common mistake is people get fixated on the subject of their photo and forget that there's all this other mess that's not contributing to the story. when a simple thing, like say we wanted to frame up the Radio City neon right now, this left side of the street isn't helping, it's distracting. Just moving across to then block out all of that, just using an element like this in the foreground. I mean, that's static, but if you've got, say, a human element in your frame that's static as well, they're not going anywhere. You don't need to worry about your subject anymore. You can start considering everything else around it and how you're going to simplify the frame. Maybe it's using some other person on the street to block out that messy left side of the frame, or using a car or a lamppost, whatever it is that can direct the viewer. A common one that I use on the street, if there's say an interesting character walking down the street, I'll have two people in front of me and use kind of the V of their shoulders to cut out everything else on the street and just isolate that subject. Hopefully you can go forward from here over the next, say, give yourself a few weeks to focus on different elements of things that we've gone through. And at the end of it, give yourself the challenge to go out and shoot just based on gut instinct. Don't take too much time, don't overthink the frames that you're going for, just shoot everything that catches your eye. As you're out, literally, you see something, just take a picture of it. Don't let your thought process get in the way. And then when you review those shots, just see how much the things that you've gone through over the last few weeks have influenced those decisions. Hopefully there'll be a big difference between what your gut instinct is directing you towards then and what it was directing you towards before you did that. So now we've gone through all of these different elements that are going to improve your street photography. We can talk about how to edit that down and the selection process, and really how to be brutal about your own work. So we'll head back to the studio and get stuck into that.